Hello, this video is going to talk to you about number properties. So our agenda today is the learning target. Then we'll have the lesson. Then you'll have some IXL work to do, and then we'll talk about the exit ticket. So today's learning target is, I can identify and use number properties. What are number properties? They're just rules that work for all numbers. These properties work for addition and multiplication. They are commutative, associative, distributive, the zero property of multiplication, and the identity property of addition. So here's a nice little chart down here that you can look at. You might want to stop the video and take a little snippet of this and put this in your notes. We're going to start with the commutative property of multiplication and addition. The root word here is commute. Okay, commute, right here. Right there. Or to move. The commutative property means that the numbers can be moved and added or multiplied in any order. I want you to look at this. First we'll talk about the addition. You can add the numbers in any order. If we have 3 plus 5, that is the same as 5 plus 3. It does not matter the order in which you multiply or add numbers. The same thing goes with multiplication. Okay, you can multiply in any order and get the same exact answer. So 2 times 6 and 6 times 2 will give you the same answer of 12. Let's go back over here. This will give you 8, and 5 plus 3 equals 8. They both give you 8 as the same answer. So it doesn't matter when you talk about the commutative property. The root word here is commute. Okay, looks right there. That means to move around. So let's talk about the associative property. The root word here is associate or group together. Right here, associate. Okay, that's the root word, associate. This property means that you can group different numbers together in parentheses. And then, remember PEMDAS, you always have to perform the operation that is in parentheses first. So for addition, we'll talk about the addition property first. When you add, you can add a group of numbers in any combination. So you can change. Look at this first example here. You have A plus the sum of B plus C equals the sum of A plus B plus C. So you just move the parentheses from the B and the C to the A and the B. So this is some numbers here. So it's 2. You do this, 5 plus 3 equals 8, and then 8 plus 2, right? Or 2 plus 5 is 7 plus 3. It doesn't matter how you group them, that's still going to equal 10. It also works for multiplication. When you multiply, you can group numbers in any order, in any combination. So you can start out with A times parentheses B times C parentheses and change it. The parentheses can go around the A and the B, and then you multiply it by C. So using numbers, you do what's in parentheses first. So 5 times 3 is 15, and then you multiply 2. Or you can say 2 times 5 is 10 times 3. You're still going to get the answer of 30, no matter what you do. This is 30 here also. So remember, the associative property is how you group the problem together in parentheses. Now the distributive property, we've worked on this before. This is just, remember the root word here is distribute or share equally, distributive. Okay, remember we talked about Grandma comes to the door and she's got a bag of cookies and she's gonna share those cookies for everybody in the house, in the parentheses. Okay, so that means multiplication. Remember, there's several ways we can multiply or show multiplication. One of the ways when we use distributive property, if you see that there is a 9 or a constant right up against the parentheses, you know that you need to share that number with all the numbers inside the house. So if you look at this, keep going here looking at this example, we're going to multiply 9 times 20, 9 times 20, and we're going to multiply 9 times 5, 9 times 5. So this is, then we add them together. We can't forget to add them together. So 120 plus 45 equals 225. So this comes in really handy when you have variables, because if you don't know the value of the variable, you can just multiply it times what is ever on the other side of the parentheses. So these three properties are going to be very helpful when you want to manipulate numbers and you want to change things around so you can get them to a place you want to work with them. That's the beauty of math. There are so many different ways to do problems. You don't have to do it just one way. And we're going to talk about the identity and the zero property. So the identity property of addition just means that when you add 0 to any number, when you add 0 to any number, you're just going to get the number. Okay, so pick any number in the whole entire world, 472 or 427 plus 0, that's going to equal 427. Okay, so when you multiply, or no, when you add 0 to anything, you're going to get the number. The zero property of multiplication just means that when you multiply 0, you're going to get 0. Any number that you multiply in the whole entire world, 1,256,000, okay, times 0 is going to equal 0. So those two properties are going to be very important. So let's talk about equivalent expressions. Now we can use these properties to see what is an equivalent equation, right? So this equation, 3 times the product of A times 2C. So we're going to use the distributive property. 3 times the product of A times 2C. So here's where we have variables. Now we're going to come in and we're going to share. We're going to share our 3. Grandma's going to come in and share our 3 with our A. So 3 times A is just another word for 3A. Okay. Then, but she also has to share with the 2C because 2C is in the house also. Oops, but when we're going to multiply those together, 3 times 2, we can multiply the 3 times the 2 and get 6. 6C. There we go. So 3A times 6C is the same as 3 times A times 2C. Okay? This should be a times signal. So the answer to this question would be B. 3a times 6c. These will be equivalent equations right here because we use the distributive property. Okay. What about these? Are the two expressions equivalent? This is a challenge. What property did you use? 3 times the quantity A plus B and 3A plus B. Well, let's see. I think we might have to use the distributive property over here on 3 times the quantity B, A plus B. So I'm going to rewrite that. 3 times the quantity of A plus B. So if I multiply 3 times A, 3 times A, I get 3A. And I have to multiply 3 times B. I'm going to get 3B. Oh, 3B. That's a B. Let me erase that and try again. That's a total mess. 3B. Okay. So, are these two equivalent? 3A plus B, this one here, and this one? No, they're not equivalent. This is a big old no, because we just used the distributive property to prove it wasn't. But let's look at this next one. The quantity 4 plus 5 plus 7, that's 1, and 4 plus the quantity 5 plus 7. Are those equivalent? Well, we have the same numbers in the same order, but we've just changed its association, right? So these are the same. Yes. The parentheses are just in a different spot. So if we go back and look at our associative property, we're going to see that we're associating our numbers in different groups. All right, let's look at this next one. P times the difference of 10 minus 2 and P times 10 minus 2P times 2. Let's see. I think we're going to have to use the distributive property here. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to rewrite this P10 minus 2 and see what we get when we take our we're going to take P and multiply it by 10. We're going to get, I'm going to write it just P10, but you can write it 10P. We're going to subtract P minus 2. We can get that P times 2. Or we could write it the other way. I like to write it with my coefficients at the front. So does this look like this? Yes. So this is equivalent because we use the distributive property. Alright, let's look at this last one. This is a crazy one. 4 times the quantity A plus B plus 3 and 4A plus 4 times B times the quantity B plus C. So, well, let's see. We can do 4A, 4 times A plus 4B plus 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, that's how we distribute it. But you know what? We can take this 4 if we need to, and we can bring it outside the parentheses and call that b plus 3. Because we see that the 4 is a factor of 4b, and it's a factor of 12. So we can go ahead and we can associate it in a different way. So we use the distributive property. This is a yes. First, we use the distributive property to get this here, but then I call it factored out of 4. We kept this a here, but we are able to factor out of 4. So yes, these two are equivalent. If you put the same numbers in for a and b on both sides, you'll get the same answer. Okay, that's a little bit more abstract, but you'll get it. The more you play with numbers, the better you'll get. So our exit ticket, are these equivalent or not? This is in your classroom, so you need to figure out, use the distributive property here, and see if you come up with this answer. Remember, you can add in any order. So is it A, yes, or B, no? Alright, so now it's time to work in IXL. You are going to log into your IXL, and under your teacher suggestions, you're going to look for solve using properties of multiplication. Your quick code is YPF. Alright, spend some time working on that, see how you do, and then take a break.